My name's Mike Stegman. I'm the director of the County Conservation Board here. If you've not been out here before, welcome. If you've not been to any of our other areas, please do some exploration. We have 31 areas that we manage and maintain throughout the county, from the Grimes Farm here to Greencastle. Maybe you've been down there where we have a bison and the swans and the small lake, Sand Lake, Grammar Grove, Timmins Grove. All those areas are ours and we manage for the public use. So take advantage of those. If you don't know where they're at, on the way out, grab a county map that highlights all of those areas and what they're all about, whether they're campgrounds, picnic areas, wild areas, undeveloped natural areas with trails or no trails. So again, please take advantage of those. What we're going to do today is build some nest boxes for common bird species. These are cavity nesting birds, and they're actually secondary cavity nesting birds, which means they don't excavate their own hole in a tree. Woodpeckers are the ones that primarily do that, and then next year the woodpeckers will make another hole in a different tree or different branch, and then these guys will claim home to the old woodpecker holes. And what we're doing is simulating that natural cavity in a tree branch or hollow tree or old snag, and we're also providing a safe place for the birds to nest. So in a tree with the holes, they're highly susceptible to predation. There's a lot of nests that are lost, and when we're providing a home for them, we want to try and predator proof it, all the way from raccoons, snakes, mink, cats, things like that. So when you take these home and mount them, try to put them in a place where cats, primarily, unless you're in a rural area, you can put them on a fence post up high that has a predator guard around it that will prevent a snake from climbing up the hole or the tree no, they do a lot of damage. Same thing with raccoons or cats, so that they can't climb up and reach around. Or like on a fence post, you'd wrap the whole post in aluminum flashing so that they wouldn't have anything to grab hold to. It'd be very slick and they wouldn't be able to climb up the post. So try to predator proof it if at all possible. You can get a U-bolt and put them on a piece of old galvanized pipe. Try to get it up about 6 foot high. Again, otherwise what you're doing is just inviting supper for one of those predators. And again, we're trying to provide a safe place for the birds to nest. Do they need these? They have helped in the past with population restoration on species like bluebirds, wood ducks. Wood ducks were on the brink of extinction a little over 100 years ago. And in that short period of time, along with habitat reconstruction and leaving those old snags up and not cutting them down, along with the constructions of literally thousands of wood duck nest boxes, that species has made such a tremendous rebound that they're actually number 2 in the harvest for duck hunters east of the Mississippi River, only surpassed by mallards. So wood ducks are an incredibly common species now. We manage and maintain about 250 of these throughout the county parks up and down the Iowa River system. We just acquired a new 319-acre area, and we're kind of anxious to get out there. Now that next week looks like the weather is settling down a little bit, we'll be able to get out and put those new ones up and then check last year's use. This time of year is when you want to build these boxes, put them up, and if you have any old ones, go clean them out from previous years nesting. And what you want to do, again, this time of year, the birds are in reproduction mode. I mean, it's spring. The chickadees at my bird feeder this morning were singing. And that's actually the first time I'd heard them do their spring calls. So the daylight hours are getting longer. They're looking for places to nest. Same thing with the bluebirds. Most of the bluebirds migrated south for the winter. There still are a few around. I can take you out east of town and show you some bluebirds right now along the little creek close to where I live. Same thing with robins. Not all robins, once they have open water and a food source, it might be crab apples sitting on a tree, they can live throughout the winter in the cold temperatures. But again, right now is the time to build these, put them up, so when we do have that spring thaw, the birds migrate back, they're ready to go. Also, when you're checking your nests boxes from last year, you might have an old nest of a bird in there, or mice may have moved in there to spend the winter time. Clean it out. You don't need to put any materials in them for the birds that we're targeting today. They bring all of their own nest material in. And birds can be identified not only by sight, but by sound. The calls they make are all different. And then the nests that they make and the eggs that they lay, they're all different. They can all be identified. So we don't have to see a bird to identify and know what's been around. And in the case of what we're targeting, and what you guys signed up for either bluebirds or wrens, bluebird nests look like a robin nest with no mud. It's all that fine old grass, like out of your yard, bluegrass out of your yard. And their eggs look similar to robin eggs, a little bit more paler blue. House wrens will use sticks of all the same size, and they will fill your house up, and then right at the very top of it, there'll be a little cup of finer grasses where they'll lay their eggs. And there's a lot of behavior associated with each species too. The wood duck boxes, just because you have a wren house with a hole the size just big enough for a wren to fit in and not a starling or a wood duck or great crested flycatcher, those are all cavity nesting birds. If they find a cavity that meets their requirements, they'll use it. And we've had numerous occasions, in fact, half the wood duck boxes that we have that have had wood duck nests in them, wrens will claim those later in the year and fill this whole thing up with sticks so that they'll go in, and all the way back in the back corner there'll be this little cup where the wrens have nested. So a lot of behavior to each species. Some of the species, and again, for site identification, well, let me go back to the nest descriptions. And we've got some books in the library that show their photo. It's a field guide for bird nests, so it shows each style of nest and each egg that the birds lay. So we got bluebirds, house wrens, and then house sparrows. House sparrows are an invasive species, just like European starlings. They're bad, very bad. I encourage you, if you do have one of these nests started in your house, tear it out. Those are the two species in North America that are not protected by law. If you have the heart and can do it, kill them, destroy the eggs, destroy the babies. Because what they do is they've actually had detrimental effects to the bluebird populations. If a bluebird takes up residence in a box or a tree cavity, house sparrows and European starlings will actually go in and kill the bluebirds, run them off. So that's a very high competition for nest sites. So the two species, the house sparrows, which is actually not a sparrow, it's a weaver finch, introduced from Europe 150, 200 years ago, populated its way across North America. So they're typically the species you'll see in towns. And that's one reason, if you do live in town and chose to build a wren house, the holes are too small to allow sparrows in. So you're targeting wrens, which have a beautiful little song in the spring. I remember when I was a kid, we had a house in a raspberry patch, and I'd always wait for the wrens to come back and start singing, because that signified to me, robins singing, but then wrens, okay, it's summertime now. But not only will you get potential in your wren house, your wrens, chickadees are also small enough to fit in there. And their nest, I don't have an example of it here, but their nest, again, is a layer. It's like 3 layers. You have a layer of fine grass, and then you have a layer of moss that they have collected from the sides of trees. And then in that layer of moss, they'll build a cup filled with shed rabbit fur. Neat little nests. Tree swallows, if you have a bluebird house, you're expanding with the hole size increasing. You're increasing your potential to attract species. You could have, of course, your bluebirds, wrens, sparrows. Starlings in a circular hole, they can't get in, but if you have an oval hole, they can kind of weave their way in. But you might get tree swallows. They too have a really cool little nest. Again, the base of it is real fine grass, just like a bluebird. But then the cup in which they lay their eggs is made from molted waterfowl feathers. In the spring of the year, when they're associated with water areas, marshes, creeks, things like that, and ducks and geese that will start molting or shedding their feathers is another term for it. They will collect those feathers and make a little cup, and they're very specific on what types of feathers they use. I've seen tree swallows use their cup feathers made from all mallard hen feathers, all mallard drake feathers, all Canada goose feathers, all wood duck feathers, and they really are beautiful.
I'm okay with people that want to decorate their tree all one color and that. I have a friend that did that this year. It looks gorgeous. But I like my tree to mean something to me, so most of my ornaments that I hang, either I've bought, someone's given to me, or have some special type meanings on it. My keepsake ornaments that I have, this is one of them. I collected the Fisher-Price series for a while. They no longer make this series. These ornaments are kind of cool. They open up. You can ring the doorbell, if I can get it to ring, and you can hear it. They're not real great. But the reason I collected these is because as a child, this reminds me of my Christmas. I had a Christmas, I got this, the schoolhouse, and the bus. So I mean, it takes me back to my Christmases. And you guys are more than welcome to look at those. Unfortunately, this lady is no longer in business. Peggy Carr, did anybody know Peggy Carr Glass? She used to do glass fusion, and so she had an ornament series. So I've got a lot of those that my best friend started me on. What other ones do I have? This one here is it's not in the best shape, but it's probably one of the first ornaments someone ever gave me. So one of my bosses, when I worked in Des Moines, gave it to me. I like flamingos, so I got a flamingo one. Anybody that's wanting to do anything type of memorial on their tree, I have 3 close family members that have passed, and I wanted a way to kind of bring them into the Christmas, and there's a saying, if you see a cardinal, you're a loved one. So I went down to Hobby Lobby, and they happened to have cardinals, so I put 3 cardinals on my tree every year, with the exception of this year. And then I did doves for me and my best friend. That comes from the movie Home Alone 2, something about you keep a dove, keep a dove. Do you remember that when the boy's in the little toy store? He's talking about that's kind of what I do. So I didn't do a tree this year because I have 2 cats, and the bigger of the 2 cats never left my tree home alone, and I got a 1-year-old cat, and thought, no, I'm not dealing with it. Ornaments that you can make on your own, and that's what you guys are going to be doing today, this is one that I think I put embossing stuff in this, and then I just put alcohol ink on the outside of it. You just dab on. There's different ways you can do them. I actually, for my cats, I do ornaments for them, and that was my first cat, Zoe, who's no longer with us. But that's basically, if you want to look at any of this stuff later, you're more than welcome. I just think that's how it's cool, is just do a tree that's kind of memory-wise. I like doing a tree when I don't have cats, because every time I put an ornament up, I try to remember who gave it to me and the meaning behind it. And I just think it's a cool way to celebrate your Christmas. So we are going to today make 2 ornaments that you get to take home with you. You're going to do the snowman and you're going to do the Santa. The first thing that we're going to do is I want you to cut out your funnels templates here.
I'm impressed already.
It's kind of fun when you're putting the glitter because you kind of watch it like kind of suck around the ornament. Yeah.
We can do this.
Like I said, this would be fun to do with kids. I would probably maybe have them be like 8 or 9 where they're not quite so. I wouldn't do it with like a 2 or 3-year-old. And I haven't ever tried putting glitter inside of plastic ornaments. I'm not sure what you would have to use. Because I always have people ask me with the handprint ones, where you do the handprint and it's the snowman. I'm like, I would do plastic ornaments because you're dealing with the little ones. So. And like I say, then you can put your cap back on if you haven't already. What you want to do is take those 2 wires, kind of hold them together, and then slide it back down in there. If you're not comfortable doing it, I'll do it. I don't have a problem. Then what you're going to do is just take your little tab and just slide it on there so you got a buckle. And then when you're ready, you can take it over to the glue. I've got low temp glue guns over there. I shouldn't say hot. And then you can just glue it on there. You might want to put a piece of glue there and then a piece of glue on the couple on the back. So that's really all there, and that's really all there is to the Santa ornament. It's fairly easy, but it's fun to do. And I thought the stitch made the belt look more like a belt.
It does.
So,
Where you found that?
as I use those, or you can get out at Menards. Rust-Oleum makes gold leafing and silver leafing pins. They have, I don't know if you've been to Menards lately, they have a section out there that's somewhat crafty type stuff. It's like wallpaper and stuff out there, is where I found them, and those work really, really nice.
I bet just Sharpie even.
Yeah, and then I have, which I didn't bring with me, I should have, I have little templates of different scripts that I use, and I just go off those and write them, so. Like that one there is done with, that's a silver leafing pin that I did on the back for Claire's, so. And then Sheldon's I did with kind of more a boyish looking, not so girlish looking one. So I think I mixed a couple of colors together. I'm kind of known for doing that too. These are the ones that I told you that I did the paint in the inside. I love these ornaments, but you almost have to start these in July because it takes so long for that paint to dry on the inside. So you kind of just run paint in and just keep turning it, and what it turns out to be is what it turns out to be. Yeah, I did that one myself. And that's got, but that, I mean, the paint on the inside is always fun because you just get different colors and stuff. Okay, we are going to work on the snowman next. So we'll do the same process we did before, pulling off the cap. And we'll put some glitter in there. Then once again, you'll take your funnel, put a couple things of your glitter in there. It does look a little yellowish, but it's because it's got that glow-in-the-dark glitter in there, so. It's got glow-in-the-dark and I think a glitter called snow or something like that. And that's one thing too, if you like just the glitter, there are tons of pretty glitters out there. One of my favorite glitters that I have is called Bling, and I got it down at Michael's. It's kind of a silver, but it's a holographic silver, so it really, when it picks up light, it really like picks up different colors. It's really, really neat. And with that one, you'll do the same thing, is just shake it around till you get your ornament filled. So whoever's ready will just pass that down. See, this is why it's nice with a small class, because you guys don't have to wait all that long for the glitter.
Yeah.
I've had 20 of you guys in here. And then, so while some of you have got your glitter in and stuff, what you can come over and do is pick out your hat that you're going to use. What I did is I just went down to Walmart and bought men's socks, as crazy as that is, but they seem to have the better designs than the women's socks. So whatever you decide you want to use. When we cut these, if you decide to do these at home yourself, what I would suggest doing is finding a sock that the print, if you look at it this way, it's not going to be upside down. I looked at a lot of reindeers and different things, and the problem is when you flipped them, everything was upside down, and I didn't really like that. So now what you're going to do with your sock is you're going to cut it, I would cut it bigger than smaller, so cut quite a bit, because we can always trim it back. And I did not cut that very straight. Wow. And then what you're going to do is take, once you get it cut, boy, I didn't even get my own cap on here very good. You're going to stick it, you're going to open the side that's got like the band, so it looks like the band of the hat, and it's going to go right over your ornament. And then you just kind of get it like halfway in place. And then I've got the glue guns back there. I would suggest once you get it how you want it, start gluing it. So cut off as much as you want. I kind of liked mine tilted back. I thought it looked more natural. You will be able to still, and we can do that with some yarn, make a thing so you'll be able to hang it still.
Is that going to be too much?
We can always trim it. So if you cut too much of your sock, I would say cut too much of a sock versus not enough, because it's easier to trim than it is to try to add it back on. So, and then at this point, once you get it tied off, you may want to look at it. Do you have too much on top? This is the point you can trim it. One thing I thought of, and I might try it on this, is the hats that have kind of they look more like a hang down type effect. You know what I'm talking about, the stocking caps?
Yes.
Instead of a ball, it looks like it kind of, yeah. I would,
Right here. Oh.
so if you want to trim it, you can. I was trying to try that and see what that looked like with mine. So get creative and do what you want.
I'm trying to peel this off. I want to put it a little bit higher.
Is it not?
Let's go.
Household hazardous materials make our chores and projects easier, but they require special care, especially when you may have unused or unwanted materials. Proper disposal helps keep you and your family safe and protects our environment.
Household hazardous materials, or HHMs, are not regular trash. That's because they contain harmful chemicals. These chemicals can create unsafe or unhealthy conditions when they are not disposed of properly. Improper disposal of HHMs can contaminate our land and water resources. Let's begin with water. Improper disposal of HHMs can lead to direct contamination of our water resources. Chemicals dumped on the ground, a driveway, or lawn may flow directly down a storm sewer into creeks, streams, or lakes where they can poison fish, frogs, and other aquatic life. If HHMs are dumped down a toilet, sink, tub, or basement floor drain, they can still end up contaminating our water resources. Wastewater treatment plants are not designed to remove the many kinds of hazardous chemicals found in HHMs. Some chemicals may end up trapped in biosolids during treatment and will be spread across fields as a method of disposal. Eventually, they may make their way into nearby streams or our groundwater. Hazardous materials mixed together in sewers can create toxic vapors or gases and can lead to explosions. Throwing household hazardous materials out with your regular trash is never a good idea and may lead to carrier contamination in our homes or schools. Harmful substances may drip onto pavement as trucks drive down the road. They may be washed into storm sewers, or kids might walk or ride their bikes through them. It's a bit like a family circus cartoon, where anyone who comes in contact with the hazardous substance could track it wherever they go. Who knows? Something you throw out improperly could end up right back in your house where kids and pets play or a baby crawls. HHMs thrown in the trash have caused garbage truck fires, the buildup of harmful vapors inside trucks, and the corrosion of equipment. If household hazardous materials end up in landfills, they can cause more hazardous situations and problems. Worker health and safety may be at risk. They may inhale toxic vapors formed when household hazardous materials are mixed together. Toxic chemicals in landfills can also lead to the formation of hazardous liquids called leachate. Additionally, landfill equipment may be damaged from contact with corrosive chemicals. When you dispose of household hazardous materials properly, good things happen. You keep your family safe and protect your environment. Proper disposal means scheduling an appointment and taking your unwanted or unneeded HHMs to your local Regional Collection Center, or RCC. At the RCC, hazardous materials are sorted, processed, packaged, and sealed. They're then shipped for recycling or final disposal. Some materials may be reblended for use as fuel. Flammable substances may be used in energy recovery operations. Acidic or base materials will be neutralized. Some materials, like poisons, will be sent to specialized landfills where they can be handled properly. Even packaging used in the shipment of the hazardous materials can be recycled. So make a difference. Treat your unused or unwanted household hazardous materials with special care. properly dispose of them at your local regional collection center.
Remember to choose a safe, smart solution to dispose of your household hazardous materials. It will help keep you and your family safe and our environment clean. Thanks for watching. Household hazardous materials make our chores and projects easier, but they require special care. Choosing a safe, smart solution when you purchase, use, and store household products helps keep your home and family safe, and you help keep our drinking water and our environment clean. It's easy. All you have to do is follow some simple, basic guidelines.
Household hazardous materials are the products you use in and around your home that are corrosive, toxic, flammable, or reactive. They are the #1 cause of poisonings in children and contaminate our land and water resources. You can make a difference by understanding how to properly purchase, use, and store household hazardous materials. Proper purchasing begins at home by planning for your projects and carefully considering what you'll need. As you plan, consider green alternatives. Many environmentally preferred green cleansers, for example, are available. Ask your retailer for green alternatives whenever possible. Make a shopping list of the items you'll need and be sure to consider quantity so you purchase only what you need. Purchasing only what you need prevents you from having to store materials, decreasing the chance of leaks or accidental poisonings. At the store, before you buy, read product labels for use, storage, and disposal recommendations so you select the best products for your job and understand any precautions you should take. Labels on household hazardous materials are required to contain one of 4 signal words. The signal words in order of severity are poison, danger, caution, and warning. Poison means the product is highly toxic and can cause injury or death if ingested, inhaled, or absorbed through the skin. Danger means the product is highly toxic, flammable, corrosive, or easily ignitable and can cause serious damage to the skin or eyes. Caution means the product is slightly toxic if swallowed, absorbed through the skin, or inhaled, or can cause slight eye or skin irritation. Warning means the product is moderately toxic or can cause moderate eye or skin irritation. Choose products with the least hazardous signal words or products with no signal words on the label. While checking the labels, look for recommendations on protective equipment. If gloves or a mask are recommended, be sure you have or purchase what you'll need.
Now that you've purchased your household hazardous materials, you want to be sure to use and store them properly too. First, let's cover what you should know about proper use.
Before you begin your job, be sure to review product labels for instructions on proper use. Use recommended protective equipment to prevent materials from being absorbed through the skin, inhaled, or ingested, and ventilate your work area as instructed. Do not use household hazardous materials around food or in areas where food is prepared, and wash your hands thoroughly when you're done. Be prepared for spills. Have rags and garbage bags ready for cleanup. Kitty litter also works for absorbing spills. Remember, more is not better. More does not help you do the job better or faster. It only increases risks.
If you end up with leftover household hazardous materials, it's important to store them safely. Here's what you need to know.
To properly store household hazardous materials, review product labels once more for storage instructions. Store them in a cool, dry place out of the reach of children. Choose well-ventilated areas away from sources of heat and sparks, like a hot water heater or a furnace. Always keep products in their original containers so they aren't mistaken for something else. Here are reasons why. Original labels clearly mark the product as hazardous and contain important information about proper use, storage, and disposal instructions. Store household hazardous materials in their original container, never in food or beverage containers, since they can easily be confused for edible items by young children. Windshield wiper fluid, for example, may resemble a blue raspberry drink. Antifreeze, a lemon lime drink, and some disinfectant sprays can look like grape soda. Keep all containers tightly closed, and every month check for leaks or corrosion.
Well, those are the basics to help you safely purchase, use, and store household hazardous materials. Remember to plan ahead and read labels carefully, then follow the instructions and recommendations. You'll keep you and your family safe and help protect our environment. To learn more, visit SafeSmartSolutions.org. When we change our ways, we change our world. Thanks for watching.